summertime, it felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
You see, I'm pressure, needing pressure on you. I got the type of presence make you change the things that you do. I'm the type of woman that make you wanna be true. To me and only me, I think they call it the juice. I said I'm pressure, needing pressure on them. I'm the type of person make you wanna have confidence
in yourself, and if you don't, then you end up hating. You can call it what you want, I call it sink or swim.
See, I'm pressure, for better for worse. I'm too smart to mess around and blow a stack on a purse. I got too much laying ahead of me to go in reverse. What you know about a generational curse? And I wanna be the fan, but gotta put me first.
I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first.
I apply pressure whether I want to or not. I'm just being me, and that is something I can't stop. I do it so easily, I'm going straight to the top. Can't believe my life revolved around shiny rocks that came from pressure. Let me turn up the heat. I'm immaculate, and that is something you can't be. You wasn't tested like I was, so you could never be me. I'm a creator, you just imitate the things you see. You feel the pressure, can't wait to sell out a show. And when I do, they gon' pretend I'm someone that they know. Oh yeah, I heard of Sohnai, I know her and she knows me. She kicked it with my brother, other cousins, other homie.
Thanks for coming on my show.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Okay, explain to our viewers who you are and what you're doing.
Okay, so my name is Sohnai. I am a rapper, songwriter out of Fresno, California. Yeah. This is my manager, Lance.
Hi, I'm Lance Cardoza, and Sohnai, she says it very modestly, coming out of Fresno, California, but she's going to show the world who she is, and she's going to make Fresno very proud. That's what we're going to do.
That's right. Dream, thinking bigger, but definitely, I'm from Fresno, and I'll never forget my roots, but definitely going to be worldwide.
So how did you guys link up?
It's funny.
Yeah, so
it's a funny story.
My best friend's mom is his hairdresser, and he has an event coming up, and I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, I'll tell the story. So the event we have is Tequila Fest at Chichansi Park on May 20th.
So we get to drink all kinds of tequila?
All sorts of stuff.
Sounds like my kind of party.
Right?
But it's throwback night. So you have Little John, you have Rick Ross, you have T.I. That's where she wants to be, and someday she'll become throwback. But right now she's on the up and coming. She's rising up, and it's that company that she inspires to be like and even bigger and better. So she's on the rise, and the lady that cuts my hair was telling me about her and said she played Full Circle Brewing, and I saw some video and saw some pictures, and we work in the talent buying space, so we buy for promoters. And then when I met her, I thought, you know what, I can help, and we can get her to get recognized and get out there and get in front of the right people, and that's what we're going to do.
He drove from Fresno to LA to watch my set. It was probably like a 15-minute set, but he drove to watch my set in LA at this club.
What club?
Dragonfly.
Right on. I know exactly where that is too. I used to live in LA. So wow, that's really quite a story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think what impressed her is I was there for the 4 songs.
Yeah, 5
songs.
Yeah.
5 songs, and then I bounced.
He was like, all right, well, you did really great, and I'll be in touch. And then he was in touch. That's crazy.
That's it.
Wow. So Tequila Fest, we can get tickets for that still. Are there still tickets available?
Yeah, tequilafestfresno.com. And we'll have some local artists on the show. So we're hoping and maybe we might see Sohnai on the stage with all those other big names.
Yeah.
So really, all those
Tequila
people that you
Fest.
mentioned were coming, like T.I.?
We'll be here on May 20th.
Wow.
It's throwback. We're reliving our high school. Maybe that's how it's going to be. That night, everybody's going to come out, relive high school for one night, and you don't know what that's about yet.
I listen
You know
to
what
T.I.
reliving high school. You listen to T.I. See, that's the young crowd. The young crowd knows T.I.
Yeah.
They know Rick Ross. They know Little John. And it's going to be a great throwback night.
That
And,
is so exciting. I cannot wait.
yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, you say like you're from Fresno, California, but isn't it cool to be from Fresno and still get to like perform with such great talent?
Yes, and so at Fresno Brewing Company, I opened for Neff Faro, who is like, do you know that?
Yes.
So they, him and Sugar Gang Coney had a concert at Fresno Brewing Company, and I opened for them, and I feel like everyone from Fresno was just like, and I'm like, yes, everyone knows me as Gayla, but I'm Sohnai now.
So, gotta explain. There's got to be a story behind this.
Yeah. So okay. So like my full name, I'm not gonna get my whole government. Actually, I had to rethink that real fast. On it. So but my Sohnai is my middle name.
Okay.
So Gayla Sohnai is my first and middle name. So Sohnai means in Haitian Creole, it means to ring, like a bell,
Okay.
like
when
vibrational.
you strike the bell and
Yeah.
it vibrates.
Yeah. So I'm a vibe.
I love that. Oh
How
my
did you
God.
describe it to me when you said that my music vibrates through people, like the
Yeah.
sound of hitting a bell?
And
It
just-
How
vibrates through
fitting.
And
people.
just me as a person, I'm a vibe. People love me. They're like everything I do, I'm like this free spirit who like skates and like makes music, and I do what I want. That's one of my songs.
Well, most people I know kind of live up to their name. Like their name either, I don't know what came first. I mean, their name came first, but then it's like they kind of embody that, and you totally
Yeah.
embody that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, tell us the like behind your songs, because you sing some real lyrics I could totally relate to. Tell us how you come up with this.
Man, it can be so random. I could be at the gym. Like I was at the gym yesterday and I wrote a song. Or I could be when I was driving to work. I would drive and I'm like, maybe I heard something from another song and it triggered a thought, and then I just decided to go with it. So I stopped ignoring things in my brain. Like, maybe you thought of something that rhymed that you thought was silly. Like, I just started to let it flow out and see what I could make and kind of let it just keep
And
going.
do you have to
keep going.
stop and write it down right away so you don't forget it? Because you know you've forgotten some
I
stuff
do,
in the past, right?
yes.
Probably has a notepad by the bed.
Oh.
yeah.
I do. I do some, or I'm in the shower and I'm like, I need to hurry up and get this before I forget this poem or like lyric or whatever the case may be. But I used to write essays. So that's actually how I started writing. I used to write essays for college students. They're gonna pay someone.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay someone. I thought it might as well be me. So I made my coins. And so then I thought to myself, just like, I could write a song. If I can write a 10-page essay about biology, I can write a song. Like, that's so easy. And then I did.
Wow, I love it. And to explain today's song.
Oh, pressure. I wrote pressure while I was cooking breakfast one day. I just felt like a lot of people, I don't know if have you heard the term pressure? Like your pressure as an expression?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like telling someone like, man, like you are a force to be reckoned with, basically, like that. And so when I think of myself as pressure, I think of like everything I have to offer. I think about the actual pressure that I put on the people around me unintentionally. Like I could be with, my friends, and they, I'm telling them all that I'm doing, and they might think to themselves like, man, I feel like I'm not doing enough. That's pressure. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe I think actually, yeah, like that's pretty much it. Just being around people, being who I am, deciding to give things my all. Like you might be in the workspace and you're a hard worker, and people around you, that you can't help but to like see it and be like, man, like you're kind of showing me up right now. Like, yeah.
It's like a healthy competition.
Yeah,
It's first a
healthy.
competition with yourself,
Yes.
and then like with others. I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pressure.
And I think when it was my hairdresser, her friend.
They did a good job, by the way.
She
Yeah.
does an amazing job. Rita Rios, and you can find her at the Loft
Yeah. The
with
loft.
George Garcia.
Love it.
In the Pacific Southwest building on the second floor.
Shout out to Rita.
Beautiful. Rita's great, and Rita kept telling me about her and said, you could check her out. I think she's got something. And the thing that impressed me the most, and I haven't told told Sohnai this yet, but we sat down and she had a business mind to her career and what she was putting together. That she had already started to form her LLC that represented her music and her brand as an artist. And a lot of time artists sometimes get stuck on just the art of the music, and they put on blinders to the business of business, day-to-day business, what you deal with and everything sparkle, the show and everything you have to put together. All that behind the scenes until you get here is more work than us just talking and recording the footage to air.
That's just the final piece.
That's just the final piece. And we're almost home at that point. It's like when a marriage starts, it's putting that wedding together is the nightmare. And then once it happens, you forget it's almost over, and it's
Right.
done. But a lot of legwork in between. And she was already laying that groundwork and only started performing this last year in November. Her first live show.
I find
Yeah,
hard
it's
to
only
believe.
been a
That's
couple
incredible.
months.
Yeah, so there's so much room for growth and so much room for to be able to achieve greatness that she's setting her eyes on and putting goals out there. And she takes everything in, so absorbs it like a sponge, you could tell.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so I think she's, because of that, I think artists, a lot of them don't do that. They cut their nose off, spite their face. They hit a wall at a certain point, but the ones that expand and consume information and knowledge grow.
Yeah, it's just
and
those
take
little
it far.
tweaks. Those little
That's it.
tweaks make it like, wow.
Yeah. So, and she's got that at a young age.
And then what's your background? Your background's in television.
Yeah, so I've done everything from Lucha Libre, so I own Lucha Extreme, the professional wrestling company, so it's a bunch of crazy entertainers. And it's a television show, so we've done that. And I've worked in the newspaper business and advertising business and TV business. I have business leaders at businessleaders.tv on KMPH Fox 26 every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. So you can catch that, and at businessleaders.tv. And I work in the space of entertainment through Capital International Productions and Capital International Group. And then I'm now starting a venture with managing young talent like Sohnai, but we're really focused on what we're doing here with her career and be able to get her where she needs to be. Because there's great people in the business that can truly elevate her and take her to the next level. But we have a game plan, and we're going to build on that and put
I
that
love
together.
that.
Yeah.
So, Sinead,
And have
what
fun
is the
doing
next
it.
level?
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
love
have fun
that.
doing
Exactly.
it. That's what it's all about.
What is the next level for you? What do you see? Kind of like the final picture. You know, they start to tell us the game plan, but what's kind of like?
I see myself performing very often. I've watched many interviews by very successful artists, and they say don't stop touring, don't stop performing. That's where the money is. So I plan on performing as much as I can. Definitely give myself rest, but I have the most fun performing. I have fun in the studio, but I think about how I'm going to perform the song. So
Wow.
yeah, I see myself performing at festivals whenever we have them. Just like anytime there's something that I can perform at that would be worth my while and everything, I want to be there, definitely.
So you write everything yourself. Have you ever thought about who you would collaborate with if you collaborate with anybody? What would be the dream collaboration team?
Lil Wayne.
Little Wayne.
If I could do a song, when I do a song
Good. I like that.
with Lil Wayne, oh my gosh, I would feel so complete. Like most people want to meet Beyonce, I want to meet Lil Wayne. That he is definitely like, learning his songs made me love rap. Yeah. So today I performed more of like a melodic song, but I'm more of a rapper.
Well, I love that you do it all. I think it's really good to have
Thank you.
both talents.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
versatility, gotta have it, appeal to the masses.
Yeah, I think one thing too she shared one time too is how a stage performer, she was watching a couple
Yeah.
on stage and she felt like, oh, they're having fun, and she was into that. And it's a very different experience when you're dealing with a larger crowd and many people. A lot of times becomes a daunting task. And I think us talking and really thinking about how you really scale that down into something simple and stay in your music and stay
Yeah.
connected to the audience, because the audience, they all come for different reasons, and you have to stay connected and versatile to them all and really bring them to you. So you bring them to you by your performance, and you make them come to you versus you going to them. You can do that through your performance and what you're doing. So as a young entertainer, I think she's gonna watch it a year when she comes back to Everything Sparkle in a year's time. And
I hope so. That would be
Yeah.
my
Right?
dream, because I could see you
I
going
have
so
to.
far that
I have to. We have to do a reunion.
I
We gotta
would
do a
love
reunion
that.
show.
I would absolutely love that. So where do we follow you? We want to hear what you do. And do you drop some of your tunes on your social media?
I do. I promote my music almost every day, but it's all available on all platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, everything, all the above, even Deezer, which is like, I haven't heard of Deezer before, but it's on Deezer.
So what's your Insta?
Oh, my Instagram is Sohnai OTW. That's SOHNAI OTW for On the Way.
And you're going to keep us posted every time something comes out, every time you have a performance, we're going to know about it, right?
Yes, you're going to know about it. Everybody's going to know about it. I'm going to post about it over and over and over and over and over.
I love it. What about your social media? Do you have an Insta?
Oh no, I'm hidden. We're out there, but
Okay.
we're more
What about for
the
the
entertainer.
event? For the tequila
event they
you
do,
have-
Tequila Fest is the
So we
that
just
is
kinda
the
go
hashtag.
on.
But if you go to tequilafestfresno.com, a great local event with some throwback entertainment. Again, Little John, Rick Ross, T.I., amazing tequila, a lot of great food. Fresno Street Eats will be out there. The folks that brought you Taco Truck Throwdown, which is a phenomenon here in Fresno, they're a part of helping make this a very successful event. So you have Taco Truck Throwdown in the fall, and in the spring you have Tequila Fest. And we
I
might
love
see this
all
come
of
back,
that.
come back, year after
I'm
year.
all about tacos, tequila, and T.I.
Right?
Let's do it.
They all gotta get
A lot of fun.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to look at what you're doing, keep us posted. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. This is my first interview, so yeah.
How exciting. So
Yeah.
everybody share it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sparkle, we appreciate your time. Thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much.
Thanks for coming on the show today, Blake.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so explain to our viewers who you are and what you do.
My name is Blake McFarland. I am a retired professional baseball player turned full-time artist, and I do a lot of large-scale sculptures and installations out of various materials, a lot of recycled stuff, and then a lot of wood and epoxy.
Wow. So you went from sports to arts. That's not everybody does that.
Yeah, definitely took a different path than most, but kind of growing up, everything was always focused on baseball. It was kind of my dream and my passion for the, I guess, first stage of my life.
When did you know you were going to be a professional baseball player?
I mean, it was my dream ever since I was, as young as I remember. I know my mom saved a piece of paper when I was in first grade that said, "What do you want to be when you're older?" And I had professional baseball player, and I think my mom still has that somewhere in the house. So
This is sad for everybody watching that had that also wrote that down and then they didn't become it. So you did it. That's pretty cool.
yeah, no, it was a dream come true. So I played for the Toronto Blue Jays for 7 seasons, and it was just a great time. I loved it.
So the Toronto Blue Jays. So how did they recruit you? Did you play in college and then they saw you, scouted you, and then they're like, come play for us? How does that work?
Yeah, so I went to San Jose State, and then there's just a draft. So any team can draft you, and I got drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays. And then I was in the minor leagues for 7 or 8 years, whatever it was. I don't even know anymore. But I was playing there, so they have teams all over the country. So I was in Vancouver, Florida, New Hampshire, Buffalo.
Wow, that's
all over the
that's
place.
all over the place.
Yeah, just living out of a suitcase for 7 years. It's crazy.
You probably had some unique experiences just with that kind of travel.
Yeah, great times and just really good stories with teammates, and then seeing my teammates still playing today, and it's just fun to watch them.
So why did you retire?
So I was kind of at the peak of my career and then the bottom of my career, all at in the same couple weeks it all happened. So 2018, I just got put on the big league 40-man roster. 2 weeks into that spring training, there was just something that felt a little off with my shoulder. And I was a right-handed pitcher, so obviously the shoulder is a big key to that. And it was something that I thought was just going to get better, the next day. So I iced it, showed up the next day. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Went to throw it, and something's not right here. So I did everything to rehab it. We did PRP, where they spin your blood in some tube and inject it back in. We did stem cells, and then, long story short, I rehabbed for 2 years. It didn't get better, so I had to hang him up.
That's gotta be so devastating. And then you don't even know how it happened.
No, I mean, just the shoulder is a joint.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been playing I was fortunate enough to play until I was 28 years old, so it was, just a lot of wear and tear on that joint.
Wow. And then after that, you're like, okay, I'm going to be an artist now? How does that work?
So I never really thought of art as a career until professional baseball. I have 6 months of baseball, and then I have a 6-month off season to do whatever I want. And that's like an artist's dream, right? I get to do whatever I want for 6 months. And normally my teammates would do baseball lessons. They do hitting and pitching lessons for kids. I knew I needed a break, so I actually began painting. And I used to sell landscape paintings in San Jose and Santa Cruz and kind of all over California.
So were you the kind of person I'm going to go to the ocean and paint that?
I never did it. I forgot the name of that style, but I never did it in live. I would go off a picture at home and do it off of that. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of that type of artist. There's a name to it, but I wasn't that. I couldn't do that because I didn't paint fast enough. All those people out there, they need to wait for the sun to get there, and then they paint really quick to make sure the light doesn't change. So I had to go off a picture and spend a lot of time on that.
Wow, that's incredible. So painting, okay, that's normal. People do that. How does it go from painting to all these other crazy types of art you're doing now?
Well, 2 off seasons in and 2 years of painting for my off season job, I realized I'm not a good enough painter to make a living off this if baseball were to take a tank. So I know I needed to go outside the box. So I thought, hey, what if I do sculptures? I like working with my hands. I was fortunate enough to grow up. My dad had a bunch of tools in the garage and kind of showed me how to work with all these different tools. And I wanted to do sculpture. So I went out. This was my 3rd off season playing baseball. And I made this little Jaguar out of recycled tires. And it took me 3 months to make. And sure enough, I got that into an art gallery and sold that. And then that kind of led to a couple more tire sculptures. And so the very beginning of my sculptural career started out with these tire sculptures, which is kind of weird.
And where'd you find these tires? Did you have them? Did you buy them?
I learned the hard way. So I went to all the car dealerships or just little places, I don't know why I'm blanking, just where they had spare tires everywhere ready to throw away. Car tires you can't cut. So I spent that whole day trying to cut through a car tire, realizing they're all steel reinforced and you can't cut through them. So then I went to motorcycle tires and then finally bike tires. Bike tires I could actually cut with scissors by hand. So I settled on that, and I would just go to local bike shops and they just had piles of old bike tires that they would just hand to me because they had to pay to get those recycled. So I was kind of doing them a favor, actually.
Wow, that is so crazy. I'll never understand how you could take a vision like that and know that you want to make something like that out of something. Wow. And 3 months, that's a lot of dedication.
It's a long time. And I knew I had the advantage of being able to spend time on this because I knew one thing that I could do to kind of set myself apart is put my full effort into this because no one else will really be able to put that much time into it. They'll have other jobs, like a real job. Right? I had 3 months to just focus solely on this and make it as good as I could.
So you got that in a gallery, so then it became your full-time
Well, then I was still playing baseball. So baseball was still number one. This was just kind of a side gig for
Wow.
me. So I was still early on in my baseball career. So baseball was still my sole focus, but this was just kind of my passion outside of baseball.
And so then when you did retire from baseball, how did art become the main thing?
So when I was rehabbing, the first year rehabbing, I had my high hopes. I'm still going to come back baseball. That second year, I'm like,
I know.
this might not work out for me. I'm not
man.
quite sure. So it was that year that I actually went to planning, and I said, hey, like, I'm going to give this a full year, and if I can't sustain myself and my family, then I'll give up art and I'll do a real job. So that's kind of what my game plan was going into it. And I was very fortunate enough that it worked out that year, and it's worked out every year since.
I mean, this is just like you're living everybody's dream. No one ever makes it as an artist, and no one ever makes it as a professional. I mean, you're just like, oh, I want to do this. I'll do it. That's really impressive.
I've been very fortunate.
So, okay, so now with art, what happens? People hire you to do things, you do things, and then sell it. How does this all work?
Yeah, so early on in my career, the ultimate goal was to get into art galleries, but I quickly realized that's not really where you want to be as an artist. Art galleries will actually mark up your product 50% and then have that much more trouble selling it.
Okay.
And I would much rather go to the consumer, give them a fair price,
Right, okay.
and go
Good
that
to know.
direction. So everything is right now is just commissioned work, and then a lot of corporations will also hire me out for big events and things like that.
So they come to you and they're like, hey, I want you to make a sculpture like of this. Do they give you like a lot of guidelines? You have to make something out of tires, or they kind of let you run with it? How does it work?
Very different from every client. I mean, there's some that have to be super specific, like every last detail, every little color, and other ones are like, go do what you want, and those are the best clients, for sure.
Of course. Is it stressful? I mean, sometimes you're like, I actually can't do what you're saying. Do you ever have those moments?
Oh, for sure. And I get myself into a lot of trouble saying, like, sure, I could do that, and then not really thinking they'll come through with ordering this, and then I'm stuck with, all right, how am I going to do this? But it works out most of the time. And if it doesn't work out, I'll let them know, and then I'll send them their money back.
What about timelines? I would think that would be a big problem with you too. To know not only like, okay, this is feasible, but now, I mean, do they get at you enough in time? Because it took you 3 months to make that one sculpture. Are they getting you in it with plenty of time to do these projects?
Yeah, so right now, again, I do anything from 20 inches to full-on life-size bison. So there's a huge fluctuation in time frame. But normally I'd say it takes around 6 weeks for a sculpture. So I only do, 7 to 8 sculptures per year now.
How long did the bison take? Because that was impressive. How long did that take to do?
That one took about 2 months to fully complete.
And what was that made out of?
That was actually recycled tires, and that is going to a zoo in Wisconsin. So that's they had a kind of recycled, repurposed theme, and it just fit right in. They emailed me, said they wanted a bison out of tires, so I made that.
What was the hardest thing that you've made so far?
I did a tree for the Chase Center for the Golden State Warriors, and this was when I was first getting into woodworking. I didn't really know a lot, but it's one of those things that said, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to say yes because it's a sculpture in the Warriors arena. So it was this veneered tree. It was this like 6-foot wall mount, 3-dimensional tree coming out of the wall. And all of the sides were of walnut veneer, and I had to figure out how to do that because I wasn't a woodworker at that time. I was still very, very new to woodworking, trying to figure that out.
And so you eventually got it?
Yeah, I luckily I have a really good friend in the area that is a woodworker and knows exactly what to do. And he's like, you do this, and the wood will stick and you'll be good. So I did that and then had my own artistic vision for it. And it was also made with recycled basketball leather. So it was actually their championship basketballs that I repurposed for the face of the tree, which is pretty cool.
That is so cool. So now do you have like a network of people you can go to when you get something crazy that you're not familiar with when it comes to art?
Definitely, yeah. And that's really what makes these things possible is I have a really good group of people that I can kind of call on when it comes to technical stuff like CNCing and programming certain things to carve and machines to carve for me. Or again, like woodworking, because I'm still learning a lot as I get into more and more woodworking.
So how did this lead to a TV show with Amy Poehler? Tell us how did this all come about?
This was super random. I had a message on my Instagram account from a producer, and they're like, "Hey, you fit for the profile for this show. Why don't you just sign up and we'll try and get you in there?" So it was really random. I thought it was like spam at first, because I mean, when do you get an email?
Right.
I'm like, sure, let's do that. Yeah. But anyways, I researched her out and like, okay, this is a legitimate producer. Let's see what it is. And then I binge watched the show. I'm like,
So what's the show?
It's called Making It. And this was the second season, so I had the whole.
What
sorry,
channel?
this was the third season.
Is it a channel or streaming?
NBC.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on
NBC.
Right? I don't know. It was so long ago. Yes.
That sounds like I think she has a lot of NBC. Okay, so Making It.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so what's the premise of the show?
They take 10 contestants and they have time limits to make something in that time frame, and then they're judged on it and then eliminated. So it's an elimination making game show.
So you were in season 3. So what were kind of the things you got to make?
Oh, so many random things. There was one, make cookies that represent you.
Oh
my
God.
It was like the randomest things. And then it was a lot of almost interior decorating designs, like design this closet, design this room.
So a lot of stuff's out of your wheelhouse.
Way out of my wheelhouse. Wow. Yeah, way out of my wheelhouse.
So where did you place? I think you could say it's already way past since you've been on it.
Yeah,
So
I was like right in the middle of the pack. Yeah.
Was that surprising? Every time were you like, oh my gosh, am I going to get eliminated?
For sure. I mean, it's tough getting judged. Like, they're judging your work and you're under this time constraint with something you've never worked with before. It's like, it's really hard, but it was really fun just hanging out with all the other contestants. We're still in a group chat and we talked today, and Nick and Amy were just awesome people.
So who were the hosts? It was Amy
Nick
Poehler
Offerman and Amy Poehler.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Were they funny?
They were hilarious. Like things that would never make it on TV behind the scenes, they would just have us dying on the floor.
So you guys were laughing when you guys were doing this, and you're like, why are they so happy?
Oh, yeah. For sure, yeah.
What a fun set that must have been.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Oh my goodness. So how does that work? Well, you can tell us. I don't know if you signed an NDA, but what do you get paid? Like, do you get paid per episode, or how further along you make it? How does that work?
I believe you do. Well, yeah, you do, but I don't think I could actually say how much it was.
So
but
you get paid per episode as far as you go.
As far as you go, and it wasn't a lot, so
not
a lot at all.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works on those things.
Yeah.
Wow. So can we stream it now? Can we watch it?
Yeah, I think it's on Hulu, and I know it's on Peacock as well.
Man, so do you ever think of doing more stuff like that, or?
I don't know. I mean, it was hard because I have 2 little ones, and we were in LA filming for a full month, so it was just, and it was during COVID as well, so we were just locked in our rooms.
Oh,
we had meals served
because otherwise
to
it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would have been so much more fun if it weren't COVID, but that goes for a lot of things. But just being in LA, kind of stuck there for a month was hard, for sure.
Oh my gosh, are you happy you don't have to get a real job now?
I'm very happy, yeah. No, I love what I do.
And then where does art take you now? Does it take you traveling around and seeing stuff? Like where does it take you now?
I'm a homebody. I love staying at home in the shop.
Well, you're traveling for like 7 years, so.
Yeah, no, I love being at home. No, I'll just get contacted for commissioned work, and I'll make those sculptures. And then now I'm kind of transitioning a lot more into the YouTube. So a lot of my work, I'll actually film the process of building these sculptures, and
How
then
fun. Okay, so what's your YouTube channel?
it's BM Sculptures.
And then what do you even choose when you make like a show like that on YouTube? Because I meant there's a lot of there's so much boring stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you know what to even put? And how do you edit it? How does that work?
I have to take probably up to 40 hours of footage and condense it into 15 minutes. So it's
that's a lot.
It's a lot of editing.
You do all that yourself?
I do. It's something I've been kind of into editing and filming for a long time, and this kind of just is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And finally, in the past couple of years, it's kind of been going pretty good for me. So it's nice.
Wow. And then what about just regular people like us if we call you for a project? Or are you just kind of on a scale where you're doing more like museums and more stuff not museums, but like you said, like more big sculptures? Do you do any?
No, I do a lot of private clients.
Okay.
Anybody can just contact me, and then we'll see, we'll talk about everything and the design and everything, and go from there.
But if you get something like in the Smithsonian or something, you're going to go travel and see it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm far off from that, but
Wow, that is so cool. So what's your contact information? Where can viewers get a hold of you?
Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at BM Sculptures, and then my website is just blakemcfarland.com.
And with the YouTube, how often are you posting on that?
So it's all dependent on the sculptures, because 6 weeks to maybe 2 months. So every month to 2 months a video. So I can't upload as much as I want, but it's all sculpture dictated.
Did you ever have to throw something completely away and then start all over again?
Yeah, the Warrior's Tree, and that's probably why I go back to that one. I scrapped that sculpture 3 times, like completely. That one took me probably 5 months to complete.
How much does that cost when you completely mess up with wood and stuff?
A lot. So just the materials alone for that one were a couple $1,000s, but that actually doesn't even compare to the epoxy that I waste nowadays. So I'm doing, you're only supposed to pour epoxy up to 2 inches thick.
Okay.
I'm pouring it up to 12 inches thick. So there's a lot of air there. I actually have a process to where I am able to do that, but in doing so, I have to scrap about every 3rd sculpture completely. So that I'll throw away around $2,000 to $3,000 of epoxy on every sculpture, which really sucks. And I need to get this down to a better science, but it's just part of doing something that I really envision this to come out to be.
And growing as an artist.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, professional baseball player, professional artist. Those are cool things to like add to your resume. Are you ever going to do baseball again where like you teach like Little League or train like that, or are you just kind of done with it?
For now, I'm definitely done with it. I think if my son or daughter end up wanting to play when they're older, I'll definitely coach, but it's something that I don't really want to pursue at this time. I'm kind of just taking a step back from baseball.
Right.
And I'm so busy with sculptures right now that it's kind of my only focus at this time.
Do you ever go watch the old team play? Do they invite you and you're like, hey, okay, I'll go catch a game? Does that ever happen or not really?
Well, what's funny is I don't really, it's not like I'm a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. Like I love the organization, right? But I mean, growing up in San Jose, I didn't see a single game like my whole life. But it's the teammates and all the people in the organization that I really still follow and talk to. And now they're all spread out through all these other different teams because, rarely does someone stick with one team for more than 3 to 5 years.
That's right. So do you ever go and support them with their other teams or not really? You haven't really done that?
Definitely. I mean, the closest one would be Giants or LA, and I try to whenever I get time to see them there, yeah.
What's your favorite baseball team?
I mean, I guess it's tough because growing up it was the Giants, but I still do have ties with the Blue Jays. So Blue Jays and Giants, we'll go with that.
Right on. And then if you want like tickets, you just go because you were professionally. Like if you wanted tickets to the Yankee game, could you get it because you're kind of like in the league, or you still?
No, definitely not. I mean, I would have to know someone. I would have to know someone on the team, and then they could get tickets.
So a little bit. You have a little bit of that clout, but
a
not...
little bit if I know the player. But like we don't. I don't. Now a lot of them are retiring now. Like this is kind of, there's probably 5 or 6 of them still playing. So there's not as many as a couple years ago.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show today. This is so interesting, fascinating. I'm going to follow you on everything. I can't wait to see the YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, so tell our viewers what you do, because you are doing a lot of nonprofits, a lot of great things for the community.
Yeah, so long story short, I started creating after-school education programs when I was 14 years old. I started with robotics, mainly because it's a very expensive program to get into.
Right.
Elementary alone, that could be $5,000 to $10,000 a school or even parents are spending to get students to participate in the program. That's not even talking about high school, which the program I was on, we were fundraising $100,000 a year.
Wow.
Just to be a part of that. So me growing up in Fresno, knowing that those kinds of funds are really hard to come by. It's pretty hard to get a team of adults saying, hey, we're gonna fundraise 10 to 100 grand this year. Who knows what it might be, right? So what I did was I took from what I was learning from in high school, just in class, and I made them into my own educational activities. And I just started emailing teachers at school to school to school asking if I could go teach my program.
Wow.
So from 14 to 17, I taught over 1,000 kids, not just in the Central Valley, but even internationally. I was able to get flown out over to Laos to be able to teach my program.
How do you even think to do that as a kid? Like, how do you even have that level of ambition?
I don't know. It just sort of happens. It's weird because I'm only 20 years old now. So a lot of this is very recent for me. So I just remember 14, I actually had a knee injury, so I wasn't able to do athletics anymore. So I thought, okay, maybe I get into something a little bit different. You know, I always loved giving back to the community, and I always liked trying new things. So when I joined this robotics team in high school, I noticed there weren't very many people on the team that could relate to the experience that I had. I mean, up to high school, I never had any kind of experience with any science program. In fact, the program that I made when I went back to my old elementary school, it was the first science program they'd ever had since I was attending.
Wow.
You know, when I was 7 years old, you know, just to give you context, you know. Whereas my contemporaries, the other teammates, they had been in these kinds of programs for years, right? So I said, maybe we should do something to bring it back home to areas that don't have access to this kind of work. So I was able to gather together my team to be able to go to all of these different schools, different countries. And then immediately after I graduated high school, that's when I started focusing on creating my own nonprofit, where it wasn't just robotics, understanding that these kinds of experiences can really change your life by just getting introduced to a career at a young age. I mean, in a way that I was, by honing my talents as an educator at 14.
So what's the nonprofit? What does it all entail? What's it called?
It's called Shine for Education.
Okay.
So what we do is we work with not just schools, we'll work at a daycare, a foster home, a library, anywhere. I mean, I was teaching in villages in third world countries, so I'll teach anywhere.
And how do you teach? I mean, so it's hard to teach robotics there because you can't bring, they don't have, what do you teach in the third world countries?
Well, in Laos, we teach the same exact curriculum. We get it translated and we get it funded. You know, when I was starting all of this younger, all of this was coming, you know, out of birthday money. But now we're at a point where we're lucky enough to partner with sponsors, partner with different organizations to be able to make all of this happen.
So you're actually taking like all the robotic equipment over there to teach that?
Miniature robotic equipment.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides just robotics, we also do creative writing, media production, and right now we develop new pathways all the time, just eyeing what the youth are interested in and seeing, okay, how can we present this subject to students in an engaging way while also preparing them for a career in it.
So how do you teach these people in third world countries? Because you don't really know what they know yet. I mean, you don't know how little of an education they have. You don't really know their starting point. And are they speaking English as well? Or are you speaking another language? Like, how does all that work?
It's mixed depending on the age.
Okay.
You know, for me, when I went to Laos for the first time, there's already translators there. You know, I'm lucky enough, I partner with the Laos Parliament, which is the Laos government.
Okay.
So they already have government-funded translators. So it's not as difficult of a process as, say, it's not just me traveling out of thin air and saying, hey, I'm going to teach at this exact school. So there's already an insulated environment. Really what it comes down to is getting funding for supplies.
And then they tell you where these kids are at, because I think it's got to be hard, to know, how we're educated here, but to know over there what third grade translates to and like what their level of understanding is. How do you learn all that?
A lot of this is just, of course, I look at what California and what the United States measures for the educational standards. So it's a lot of late nights reading, okay, what does our country do? And seeing what can I find in these other countries? What are their standards? Talking to teachers around the world saying, okay, what are you teaching generally at this age range? It's really just a lot of online research and getting paperwork from these partners that I work with.
How much work that goes into. Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, and I still work my part-time job at Office Max.
Oh, do you even have to do that with all the traveling and everything, or you just like it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up, I'm not a trust fund baby, all of this starting off has been self-funded, doing me outside of doorsteps selling candy, doing videos online. I remember when I was first approached to go internationally, a nonprofit, they came to me and said, hey, we would love to bring what you're doing to Laos. Mm-hmm. One thing, you need to be able to come up with $5,000 within a 3-4 month period. And immediately what I started doing was posting on Instagram, posting flyers around school. So yeah, the reason why I still work at Office Max is I need to make a living. And worst case scenario, right? I've always believed in being independent. So let's just say I get no sponsors, which isn't the case. But if that were to happen, I know I have some sustainable income to pay for it, you know?
Wow. So you didn't go to college yourself?
No, I'm still in school.
So you are going, you're a student,
Yes.
a teacher, and you have a part-time. That's insane. That's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, no, and I do, side jobs, just to be able to make ends meet, because I also have, I don't have kids, but I have my family, who aren't as educated as, say, even I am, right? So I even do web design for businesses in the area, doing social media management, graphic design, just anything to keep it all together.
So are all these classes that you're teaching when you go into the other countries, when you're doing here, is it kind of an elective? Because I know everything with curriculum becomes some big ordeal that has to get passed through this, that, and the other. Is it kind of like an elective class that you're bringing into it?
Well, there's a lot of different ways we actually implement our programs. So for example, one school, they might not want to implement it into their after-school sessions, but they'll implement it into an already existing elective.
Okay.
So that there's that. Sometimes it's just directly as an after-school program. Right now, we're even in the talks of doing these programs as a summer camp. So really,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, our curriculum is really flexible. It's just about giving us a time and a venue and a group of students, and we'll make it happen.
That is so cool. So what do you see the vision? What's the end game kind of with all of this?
So my vision is to be able to create lines of programs, K through 12. I call them pathways, to be able to guide students at a young age into the career that they want. Take me for an example. Because I started at 14, here I am at 20 years old, being able to travel the world, doing what I love doing. I wouldn't have been able to do this if I didn't have any of this kind of experience, just going right out of the gate as a college freshman, So what I'm doing is making so for a lot of these students, they don't need to do all of this struggle, all of this investment. For me, this is 24/7. It's my entire life. But what I'm doing is making programs that students can participate in just an hour a week. I imagine if you knew what you wanted to do for the rest of your life and you just did something, just training a little bit at it, an hour a week from K through 12. It's a numbers game. It adds up quickly.
So what was like the first step? Because I imagine you're going after educators, you were telling them. I would be like, I don't know, I'm just thinking I would be like, as an educator looking through the email, here's some 14-year-old that wants to teach a class. Okay, why should we let them in there? How did you approach, how did you get people to say yes to you?
I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask them. I would just email them and then I'd meet them in person.
You used to have a cool education program, hear what I got to say, and then you'd meet in person and take it from there.
And I think people don't typically deny free labor.
Okay, so you approached it kind of like, here, I have an idea, I can help you out.
Yeah, I said, this is what I love doing. Part of this robotics club at the high school level. We'd love to be able to teach this. And at the end of the day, this is what I was doing at that time. Adults, they would get paid to do that. I didn't know that at the time, but
exactly.
Yeah. So it was a good way to help out the community, and I'm thankful that they were able to welcome me in that way.
So where do we go online to find out what you're doing, and then if we want to donate? Where do we find all this information at?
Yeah, everything's at www.shine4education.org.
And then where is the program at now? You said you have a team of people. How do you assemble a team?
Yeah, honestly, just through basic networking, just from classmates, different events, it's really kind of a ragtag team of people, and I'm just thankful that there's been enough people that believe in the vision so we can grow. Now we have one official chapter over at Fresno State of our organization. That's besides the standard organization. And then we have 2 developing chapters over at Madera Community College and Clovis Community College. So we're really starting to expand, that way.
And like your personal team, who's going with you to these other countries? Is it just you yourself, or you take a couple people with you?
Yeah, we have defined leadership within our organization, whether it's the chapter leaders or it's some board members on the organization.
And they're excited about it. They're like, okay, I can go for a couple months and we can do this in Laos. They're on board with that?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't said anything otherwise.
That's so cool. Well, no, because I'm thinking they have like jobs in school as well, so they make themselves available to go and do this in other countries. With you.
Well, I mean, for
some of them, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, this April we're going back to Laos from the 1st to the 14th for 2 weeks. So we're excited for that.
So who are you taking with you? Like how many people?
Right now we're set about 5 people.
That's really cool.
Yeah. A mix of not just people like me, but also educators, people with master's degrees, that I'm honored who are even joining the team, even though, I mean, they're being led by someone who's quite younger than them, I'm just thankful that they believe in what we're creating here, because not many other organizations not too many people would, invest that much of themselves into this.
And so when we go on the website and figure it all out, we could donate, and then people can become involved if they want to. Like if someone's like, no, that sounds great, I'd love to go and do all that.
Yeah, you can donate, sign up. I'm really proud of this. Our team, we developed the website ourselves. We had to look up on YouTube how to make a website, how to make all of that, and as part of that, we also have a kind of messaging service on the website where volunteers can communicate between each other.
And then how does it work with kids? I mean, you started this at 14. Did you have to get like parent consent form for other underage kids to travel with you and do all that?
Yeah, so that was actually, the fortunate thing is we collaborated with already existing programs, after school programs, where all of this infrastructure was already in place. So for example, a program called ACES over in Clovis Unified, they already contract with this other company and they already have the insurance in place, they already have the background checks in place. From there, it's just dependent on individual site leads to say yes or no.
Wow.
And also it's a bit more lenient. I mean, it was a bit more lenient then because I was a minor. So it wasn't the same as if I were to go on a campus today, there's a lot more, yellow red tape.
Oh, because you're an adult now. So it was easier when you were a minor.
Yeah.
I get that now. So the end game too would be to have more chapters to develop everywhere else, right?
Exactly. I'm proud to see how much all of this has evolved, I mean, again, starting work at 14 in 2016 and then having to be cut short a little bit at 2019, but opening it back up now, we're finally able, because of COVID regulations loosening up, to be able to go back onto these school sites.
So what school are you going to now? You said you're still going to school.
Yeah, right now I'm actually just in a gap semester at Community.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do your classmates think of you?
I don't know. They've been virtual.
So you haven't no one even knows what you're bringing to the table here. I thought you have all this going on and it's just their fellow classmate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily try to brag about what I do.
I would think you'd even create the team getting bigger. That people would be like, oh, I'm interested in it. That they'd be like, wow.
It's weird. It just has sort of happened through other people that I'm close with that are more in-person classes, and it's just a web, I really believe in this, that everybody wants to help out. It's just there's not a lot of organizations that are open and accessible enough to let people really in on the magic, I mean, if you're going to go and join a long-established nonprofit, there's a lot of steps that you have to do to be able to even give a helping hand. Unless you're giving money, they'll accept that. But, I have people on my team, all they do, they're just responsible for calling businesses. That's all they do, And even though that's, say, minor compared to another nonprofit, they probably have designated staff. That means the world to me because that's just one more thing that's off my shoulders, Because we're a 100% volunteer organization. There's no paid staff.
Wow. And then can we see some of these videos on YouTube or on the websites of you helping students?
Yeah, Valley PBS, they did a mini documentary about our organization. So that was very exciting to be released and has a bunch of sneak peeks, whether besides just us teaching the programs, but we've been honored with special opportunities. In 2019, I was selected to give Arnold Schwarzenegger the 1 millionth solar panel made in California and present him my work.
Did you?
Yeah, him and Jerry Brown.
That is so cool. Wow. And so have you heard the feedback from some of these kids? Are they pursuing their passions and sciences because you were there teaching robotics?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see that these students that I was teaching back then now getting to the high school level and being able to participate in these kinds of programs, But unfortunately, the COVID really struck education significantly. So a lot of it is playing catch up. And even for me, there was a whole period of time where I wasn't allowed to make in-person programs. In 2020, I was only able to do virtual programs.
Did you do some of that where we could see it, like on YouTube and stuff, make some videos of it?
Yeah, we have, on Instagram, YouTube, all of that. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. That is so cool.
Thank you.
So you kind of improvised during those gap years.
Oh yeah, you have to. And it was sort of a relief because it gave me a lot more time to figure out what my own nonprofit's going to be. Because before it was just me part of a robotics team.
Right.
But then once COVID hit, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually a thing. I can turn this into really, my career. So that gave me the time to be able to understand what questions might be asked of me, what is required of me to be able to get to the levels that I want to get to. How do I fill out the paperwork a school district might want me to provide? How do I register a trademark? How do I do all of these things that are necessary as a businessman to make sure these educational projects could survive?
So then you figured it all out.
I'm working on it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a learning process, but I'm definitely thankful that I got so much time to hone in on my skills.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait. I love your success. I can't wait to follow you and see where this takes you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it takes me as well. I was 14. I could have never imagined traveling the world, being nationally recognized over at NASA. I couldn't have never imagined any of this, again, because I started off as a poor kid in Fresno, just wanting to make a change.
Nationally recognized at NASA. That is so cool.
Yeah, when I was 16, one of my initial projects, we were able to win an award, and that got us on a flight out to Houston, Texas, be able to get a tour of NASA. It was a great experience, I'm thankful that I had a lot of these early experiences at a young age that motivated me to keep going. So that's what I do with my programs, creating those kinds of environments with not as flashy money. Like, for example, we have our Shine Authors program. It's a 2-month program. The first month, we're teaching students the basics of what it means to be a writer. Sentence structure, introducing them into genres, standard, making sure they understand how to write. But we immediately follow that up with guiding them towards writing their own individual stories. And what we promise the students is we publish the work of every single student that's in our program. And then we host what's called the Shine Authors World Tour, where we host a book reading. So students get the experience of what it feels like to be an actual professional. They're the ones behind the tables getting questions about, oh, how did you create that sentence? Empowering them, making sure that they can believe in themselves. Because again, that's what I got at a young age. Of course, it's a bit different, me flying out, going to different spots, right, getting different awards. But I know that those kinds of environments, that's what ensures a student continues following a subject. Because again, I just experienced that entire awakening, only a few years ago. So it's very vivid in my head what worked for me as a student.
So where can we read the published work that you were saying that these students have? Where is it published at?
Right now we're doing our pilot programs. So we're actually contacting a bunch of different schools in the area, finding sites for us to launch this program.
I love that. This is so cool. I'm so excited about that. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.